Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about one Jude Bellingham, one of the hottest prospects in world football right now. He is allegedly going to be on the move at the end of the season. Very much likely that his time at Borussia Dortmund has come to an end, and there is said to be no end of teams that are potentially interested in signing him. Over the past couple of days, it's come out that allegedly and reportedly Borussia Dortmund will be looking for a fee of around about 150 million for the 19-year-old midfielder. Massive, massive money, and that's 150 million euros, by the way, which would relatively work out at 130 million, give or take, in British pounds, if that was to obviously be the case, and when he comes to England, which of course would be a welcome addition to the Premier League, in my opinion. A lot of money, but is he worth it? He's of course a massive prospect with huge potential, but for the present and for the here and the now, he is also a fantastic midfielder for those that want to pick him up and want to see how well he'll develop over time, but also how well he can do for the present day. Fantastic midfielder in my opinion. Well, he's been attracting interest from a lot of teams, obviously after being given the chance by Borussia Dortmund to showcase his skill and his talent on the senior squad level in the typical sort of Borussia Dortmund fashion. And we're going to be talking about him today in this video, about some of the potential teams he can go to and so on and so forth, everything in between regarding Jude Bellingham. Before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and subscribe if you're new. Both things are always greatly appreciated. But for now, let's talk about Jude Bellingham and his future, I guess, because like I say, he seems to be one of the bigger transfer stories right now. And I know that obviously the transfer window is over, but come January or even the end of the season, it's more likely to be the end of the season, he will be one of the bigger players that will be on the move at the end of the campaign. And obviously for the money that's being discussed about, like I say, 150 million euros, 130 million pounds that would translate to, it's going to be a massive transfer in regards of finance, in regards to him still being 19/20 years old, in regards to obviously a very young English talent that is still got a lot to learn, a lot to grow, a lot to experience and everything else along them lines. So this is going to be a huge transfer one way or another, regardless of where his future in football decides to take, or where he decides to take his future in the beautiful game. So we've got this player. He's 19 years old. He's a fantastic talent for his age. He's so seemingly beyond his age. Like the way he plays, the way he moves, everything that is good about his game seems to be above the level of relatively most 19-year-olds and everything else that goes along with that. He's been attracting the interest from the likes of Manchester City, Manchester United, Real Madrid, and especially Liverpool, who was said to be leading the chase for him at one point or another during this whole transfer saga. There was of course stories this past summer that Liverpool attempted to sign him very much early before everyone else had a chance to, but obviously with Dortmund already losing one of their key players in Erling Haaland, they don't usually lose two. We always know that there is always one exceptionally good player that Dortmund always lose every summer. They never normally lose two, and that was obviously the case this summer. They lost Haaland to Manchester City. They weren't prepared to lose Bellingham as well in the same transfer window. Fair enough. The fact is, whoever gets him will get one hell of a talented midfielder, a quality midfielder, and like I say, for a player of his age of 19, he is an incredible talent. He's an incredible midfielder, far beyond the vast majority of midfielders at this age. He is going to grow to be an exceptional player, and he already is an exceptional player in many respects. He's a youngster who like so many other quality players, is another product, like I say, of the Borussia Dortmund system. He has obviously been picked up even younger than what he is right now, and was given the platform to grow and to obviously perform and showcase his talent, following in the footsteps of the likes of Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland. That will obviously give him that same kind of build, that same kind of development and everything else along with it, and is going to be seen as using Borussia Dortmund as a bit of a stepping stone towards a bigger and better team, with all due respect to Dortmund, of course. He's made a name for himself in both the Bundesliga and the Champions League. He's of course grown very fond of both competitions and showcased his talent there numerous times on a more consistent level. And he's already becoming a midfielder that, even at the age of 19, is very talented, full of quality, and of course has room to grow, room to evolve, room to up his level in this game, so to speak, and can only improve with age and experience. And obviously having a better team around him, with a better manager maybe, will also help him do that to even levels, maybe even beyond our comprehension. Maybe he's just that damn good. A midfielder who's an absolute engine in the middle of the park, a very progressive midfielder, is always looking to move the ball forward. Technically very gifted as well. He's quick, he's tall, and he's very versatile when it comes to playing various midfield roles, whether it's obviously a defensive midfielder, which he may not be the strongest there, but at least he can play there, a box-to-box midfielder, which I think he's more of, and also he can play a more attacking role. He's a ball carrier, he's a playmaker, a little bit, maybe not to the full extent. He obviously still needs, in my opinion, to add more goals and assists to his game, but the potential is there for him to do that, and I think he can be an exceptional midfielder in whatever role the lucky club that pick him up decide to play him as. The fact is, wherever he go, that team is going to be set for the next decade or so, depending on how long he stays there, because like I say, he's 19 years of age. He's a very big talent for the present day and can obviously evolve to new levels in the future. And with him being so young, you could potentially keep him there for the next 10 to 15 years and he could really do a good job. It's going to be a permanent fixture in whichever midfield you go with, really. And if you look at the teams that are interested, if he does go to Real Madrid, well, I know that obviously it's a bit weird to say that your transfer policy is exceptional, even though you basically splashed out a lot of money on three very promising, high potential midfielders and everything. But let's face it, if you want to replace the usual suspects and the probably one of the most iconic midfield trios in the modern game, in Luka Modric and Toni Kroos, and of course Casemiro, who obviously left last summer, and you want to replace them with the players that you got from the transfer window and everything. If you add Bellingham to obviously Edouard Camavinga, who came in last year, and Aurelien Tchouameni, who came in the summer, and you add Bellingham to that mix, that is one hell of a replacement. That's one hell of a replacement in the rebuild of that midfield. A fantastic and phenomenal thing that Real Madrid have done there, and again, that will set them straight for the next 10 years. Another kind of long-term midfield solution to all of their midfield issues, so to speak, and then you can just try and build under that for depth. If you look at Liverpool, again, it's a long-term midfield option. They are in desperate need, in my opinion, right now, of midfield stability and midfield refreshing. They need to refresh that midfield so badly, and of course, when you look at next year, Oxlade-Chamberlain might not be there, Naby Keita might not be there, James Milner might not be there, Jordan Henderson's going to be a year older, so he fits the bill perfectly. You just wonder whether the price might just deter them a little bit, and or maybe by the end of the season they may not be in a good enough position for Bellingham to even consider them an option. I know that obviously Bellingham's spoken highly about Liverpool in the past, but it hasn't been the greatest of starts from Liverpool in terms of their league campaign so far, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. For Manchester United, continues the Erik ten Hag rebuild. Might pull them away from obviously the whole De Jong disaster that was of this past transfer window, so that could be interesting to see. Whilst if obviously he does go to Manchester City, he reinforces their midfield even stronger than obviously what they've had in the past, and obviously strengthens an already very strong squad. And not only that, but I think for him as well, you can see the kind of relationship and the friendship that he built up with Erling Haaland at Borussia Dortmund. Reuniting with him at Manchester City could potentially be an option for him and may swing the tide in their favour. And if it obviously does do that, one hell of a player have Manchester City got on their hands here. But we'll obviously have to wait and see where his footballing future lies. It could be any one of those four teams right now. Like I say, United are on the rebuild. Liverpool don't really know because of the tricky start to the season that they've had, but they've constantly been mentioned in the same sentence as Jude Bellingham whenever obviously the topic of his future has been brought up numerous times, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. Real Madrid, I think he would be a great fit for them in terms of slotting into that midfield and replacing, like I say, the usual suspects that we've come to know and love in that Real Madrid midfield, whilst for City just reinforces their squad, like I say. Now, on the price tag, yes, it may seem huge. 150 million euros, 130 million pounds, whichever way you want to put it, is huge for a player of his age. Like I say, he's 19 years old. But when you think about the longevity of his stay at whatever club, when you look at the talent that's on display right now, when you look at the potential he's got, the promise he's showing, and like I say, overall, the longevity, you'd have to say it would overall work out. Real Madrid aren't going to be worried about the price of 150 million euros because they know that they will win plenty of La Liga titles and they will challenge for the Champions League pretty much every year. He will repay that in terms of he will repay that money in terms of the amount of trophies that he will win or potentially challenge for across at the very least, 10-year stay. It sounds mad, but obviously this is the kind of footballing world and transfer markets that we live in. I think that he will overall pay it back to whichever club he goes to in terms of trophies, in terms of awards, in terms of the kind of eyes and the sponsorship that he can bring. But of course there is a downside to it, and of course it will be the media. The English media, terrible people. I think for right now he's okay because he's in the Bundesliga, so they kind of leave him to it and they kind of only really properly notice him when he's playing in an England shirt. Hence, last night, for example, where England were terrible, England got beat by Italy, England got relegated from their Nations League group. Okay, so Nations League, does anyone really care? But at the same time, the English press are going to be all over that, you just know it. So, they only really know him when he's in an England shirt. Obviously, if he was to come closer to home, if he was to be in the Premier League, you'd feel like he'd get a lot more attention. You kind of feel like maybe he's one of England's golden boys, one of the young ones to kind of come through and to be sort of seen as a bit of a media darling, but maybe not in terms of if he does come back, and especially depending on the team he comes back to, he's going to be scrutinised one way or another. And it would be mainly down to the price tag. Nothing wrong with his ability, nothing wrong with his talent, like I've mentioned time and time again, but certain media outlets, certain media pundits, certain former players, whatever way you want to put it, may not like the fact that teams are going to be prepared to spend the amount of money that's being said to be spent on this kind of player, or even him himself, and it could get a bit ugly when talking about him, in terms of those kind of aspects all coming together to try and scrutinise and to try and talk down a player like him and how good he is, how much potential there is, of a limitless potential in my opinion. It could be very interesting to see what the reaction is like should obviously this kind of move for this kind of money will go ahead. Also, the team might change their perception of him. Like, say if he goes to Manchester City, like I said before, he'll win plenty of trophies, he'll challenge for plenty of trophies, and he may not even play that well in doing it. Maybe he doesn't even realise or fully get towards his full potential. Maybe that's going to be the case. And if it is, does that perception change then? Look at Jack Grealish right now. He came in with this big fish in a small pond kind of thing with Aston Villa. He came into Manchester City. He obviously had to work into Pep Guardiola's style and everything. It hasn't quite worked out for him right now, but no one's saying anything because, of course, Manchester City are the defending Premier League champions. I think a lot more people and a lot of pundits especially will be saying something if City hadn't have won the Premier League last year. On the flip side, if he was to go to Liverpool, he could be under the microscope more because they're obviously a club that have overall massive expectation on them. They're meant to be the ones that are challenging Manchester City. They're meant to be the ones in a position to do so, and they're going to have more expectation on them than what Manchester City are, who we know are more likely to win a trophy or win the Premier League than Liverpool are, even if it's only by a slight margin or a slight percentage. They've got more expectation, and so he's going to probably be put under the microscope more often. Same thing with Manchester United, and an example of that is obviously Darwin Núñez, who's come in over the summer and is instantly being overly analysed in every little thing that he does, and when he does something good it's brushed under the carpet, and when he does something bad it's put all over social media and mocked and laughed about. There are a lot of things with Bellingham that could work for him, could work against him, but it will be very interesting to see where he goes. If I had to put money on it, look, if I was saying this last summer, I would definitely say Liverpool would be where he goes. I think he wants to go to Liverpool. I think you said it before. I think that obviously Jurgen Klopp will help get the best out of him and everything. But if Liverpool don't book their ideas up, if Liverpool don't improve this season, they could miss out on him some more. And maybe Real Madrid might be the way to go as well. But I think maybe the chance of rejoining Erling Haaland and reuniting with him could also sway his decision. They seem to have a very good friendship, those two, so that one could be interesting as well. Very interesting times for Jude Bellingham. What do you make of the Jude Bellingham thing? Because like I said, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Jude Bellingham? Where do you see his footballing future lie? Do you see it staying at Borussia Dortmund, however unlikely that may be, or do you see him going at the end of the season to a Liverpool, to a Real Madrid, to a Manchester United, or even a Manchester City? That could be very interesting. I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, on Jude Bellingham and his footballing future and anything else that goes along with that down below in the comment section. I'm sure it will all make it interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out. I've enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both of them are always down forever. Be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. I'll see you all again soon in another video.